The night was thick with a silence that felt unnatural, a pause in time itself. It was August 1837, and the Mississippi winds carried whispers from the bayou, dense with unseen eyes. At the Delaine Plantation, a house brimming with polished grandeur and shadowed corners, a woman vanished. Her name was Celestine, a figure of almost otherworldly beauty, yet burdened by a restless mind. She was known as the most desired slave woman in the parish, coveted by men who wielded power with cruelty. No one saw her leave. No trail betrayed her disappearance. Only the faint, lingering scent of jasmine, a perfume she had never owned, remained in the air. Locals whispered of a darkness that clung to the Delaine estate, of a secret chamber beneath the chapel where the family worshipped, a space no outsider dared enter. Some claimed Celestine had been chosen for something greater, something horrific, something older than slavery itself. Her disappearance became a wound in the town's collective memory, a story suppressed in hushed voices and forbidden diaries. As the moon rose over the swaying magnolias, it revealed the stark contrast of beauty and decay. White columns stained with the slow rot of hidden sins, walls that had witnessed both devotion and desecration. That night marked the beginning of a descent into secrets. No living person had the right to uncover a history of obsession, violence, and unspoken rituals that would haunt generations. Even long after the Delaine name faded from the parish rolls, the Delaine family were pillars of Louisiana society, known for their charm, wealth, and devout participation in the church. Yet behind their polished veneer, their lineage was tangled with whispers of cruelty, forbidden rites, and a lineage of women who disappeared under strange circumstances. In hushed tones, slaves spoke of the calling, a secret practice believed to preserve the family's power and influence. Celestine, at just 22, was ensnared in this web. Her allure was legendary, not merely for her beauty but for her uncanny ability to inspire devotion, desire, and terror in equal measure. Plantation overseers reported strange phenomena around her, shadows that moved independently, soft whispers echoing through empty corridors, and fleeting glimpses of her form in impossible places. Some suspected she had become a vessel for something beyond mortal comprehension. Despite her enslavement, Celestine's presence commanded attention, unsettling even the most stoic observers. Children cried when she approached. Animals shied away. Men who sought to possess her were driven to madness or despair. She seemed to carry within her a knowledge that was both forbidden and ancient, a memory of things no living being should know. As the plantation thrummed with its daily rhythms of cotton, the clang of chains, the prayers of the devout, and invisible tension coiled around the estate, Celestine's disappearance would reveal the Delaine family's darkest secret. Yet it would take decades, centuries even, before anyone dared to name it. The truth lingered like a storm cloud, pregnant with lightning, waiting for the right soul to unravel it. Beneath the marble floors of the Delaine chapel, a hidden room lay buried. Only a select few knew of its existence. A trapdoor behind the altar, old chains rusted but intact, and a stone basin etched with symbols that predated the plantation itself. Parishioners prayed above, oblivious to the echoes of despair beneath their feet. Celestine was drawn here, compelled by something she could not name. Late one night, she slipped past the slumbering guards and descended into the cold, damp chamber. The walls hummed with energy, a vibration that seemed to speak directly to her bones. Within the chamber were relics of ritual and devotion, but their purpose twisted, remnants of a faith corrupted, a devotion steeped in violence and ancient secrets. The air smelled of burnt incense and iron. Shadows seemed to gather in corners, breathing, waiting. Celestine, alone, felt the room's consciousness press against her mind. Whispers promised power, knowledge, and freedom, but at a cost no mortal could bear. Outside, the wind carried the faint sound of footsteps, men patrolling, unaware of the chamber's awakening. When they returned the next day, Celestine was gone. Only the faint perfume of jasmine remained, and the sensation that the air itself had grown heavier, darker. Some whispered she had been claimed by the unseen forces beneath the chapel. Others claimed she had disappeared into the swamp, never to be seen again. The nearby town of Belrive remembered Celestine differently. Children recited her name with a mixture of awe and fear. Women locked their doors at dusk, whispering that she had walked into the bayou and never returned. Yet the Delaine family maintained their polite smiles, their wealth intact, their sins veiled by the church and the law. Town records grew curiously sparse in 1837. Births and deaths were meticulously noted, yet nothing recorded Celestine's fate. It was as if she had been erased from reality itself, her existence acknowledged only in the memories of those too afraid to speak. Visitors reported strange occurrences, a fleeting figure by the riverbank, reflections in mirrors that didn't belong to anyone, and a sensation of being watched while walking alone through empty streets. The townsfolk spoke of her as both ghost and omen, a woman whose presence exposed the fractures in society, the hypocrisy, the violence, the unspoken rules that governed human desire. Even decades later, the story persisted, a murmur in Louisiana's humid nights, an invisible thread connecting families, churches, and plantations. No one dared investigate too closely. Those who tried vanished, or returned with eyes hollowed, their minds frayed, their tongues silenced. Celestine's disappearance was not merely an event, it was a warning, a testament to the power that resides in the shadows of history. Hidden behind a loose brick in the Delaine Manor's library, a leather-bound diary waited, its edges blackened by time. The handwriting was jagged, almost frantic, likely penned by a caretaker who had witnessed Celestine's final days. Each page dripped with paranoia, blending religious devotion with obsession, desire with fear. The diary spoke of rituals performed beneath a chapel, of a woman whose beauty invoked terror as much as reverence. The author wrote of Celestine's uncanny ability to influence men, bending them to her will or breaking them entirely. Each entry ended with the same chilling line: "She walks the spaces between worlds." The diary described a secret society of elite planters and clergy, bound by rituals older than the state of Louisiana itself. Their purpose was unclear, yet every word suggested exploitation, devotion, and a terrifying hunger for control. Celestine, according to the diary, had been both a tool and a threat, too powerful to ignore, too alive to contain. Reading it now, one could almost hear whispers in the margins, as if the paper itself retained her presence. Scholars who later attempted to authenticate the diary claimed it vibrated with an energy they could not define, a resonance that lingered in their minds long after the pages were closed. It was more than a record, it was a map of obsession, a blueprint of corruption, and a key to the darkness that had consumed the Delaine family. Celestine's allure had always been more than physical. Men of the town, plantation owners, preachers, even wandering traders spoke of nights when they awoke, unable to recall how they had crossed the river or wandered the bayou, their hearts pounding with a terror they could not name. Some believed she was cursed, a vessel of vengeance for generations of abuse and subjugation. Others whispered that she was touched by spirits older than Louisiana, remnants of rituals practiced by enslaved ancestors who had survived unspeakable horrors. Her presence unsettled the natural order. Crops wilted, livestock disappeared, shadows lingered where sunlight should have reached. It was said that those who tried to possess her, whether for lust, power, or greed, fell into madness, sometimes disappearing altogether. And yet, the Delaine family persisted, their rituals unbroken, their obsession with her unyielding. The town whispered of this curse as if speaking too loudly might summon it, yet all understood. Celestine was more than a woman. She was a reckoning. In 1842, 5 years after her disappearance, a fire erupted at the Delaine chapel. Flames consumed the altar and pews with unnatural swiftness, yet the stone chamber beneath remained untouched. Witnesses swore they saw a figure standing at the bell tower, her silhouette framed by the inferno, unmoving, watching. The fire claimed lives: 10 parishioners, the caretaker, and a child who had been wandering in the shadows, but Celestine was not among them. Some argued she had returned, a spectral force of vengeance or protection. Others believed she had never truly left the hidden chamber, merging with the shadows that had cradled her for so long. The Delaine family rebuilt in secrecy, replacing wood with stone and reinforcing doors that no ordinary lock could hold. Yet the whispers persisted. Visitors described hearing faint music, faint laughter, and the unmistakable scent of jasmine carried by a wind that should not have been there. The Louisiana bayou, dense and treacherous, became both prison and sanctuary. Locals told stories of a woman seen drifting among the cypress knees, her reflection in the water impossibly clear, her eyes burning with knowledge no living soul possessed. Some believed she had joined spirits long forgotten, reclaiming freedom in a realm beyond human cruelty. Others whispered that she remained trapped, caught between worlds, forced to witness centuries of human corruption unfold without the ability to intervene. The bayou, like Celestine, became a symbol. Beauty intertwined with danger, freedom tangled with captivity, desire corrupted by fear. Those who ventured too far often returned, changed or not at all. By 1850, rumors spread of children disappearing from the town orphanage. Some claimed Celestine's spirit guided them, protecting them from the same fate she had endured. Others feared she demanded them as payment for her freedom. The children's laughter carried an eerie echo, almost as if they knew secrets beyond their years. Parishioners avoided the orphanage, claiming the shadows moved of their own accord. Yet the Delaine family never intervened. Their power, entrenched in fear, remained unchallenged. Generations passed, and the chapel fell into ruin. Nature reclaimed it, vines crept over the stone, water pooled in its cracks. Yet the hidden chamber remained intact, impervious to decay. Explorers who discovered it in the late 1800s described unease so profound it paralyzed their limbs. Symbols etched in the walls were indecipherable, older than the plantation itself. Some scholars theorized they were remnants of African spiritual practices fused with European occultism, a testament to forbidden histories erased by the passage of time. In 1893, a collector purchased the Delaine diary at auction. Within weeks, he was dead, his body found in a locked room, eyes wide, mouth frozen in silent terror. The diary resurfaced multiple times over the decades, each owner suffering a fate equally bizarre and tragic. Historians began to whisper, this was no ordinary record. The diary was a living relic, a conduit to something darker. capable of influencing minds and manipulating reality. By the early 20th century, Celestine had become legend. Townsfolk avoided the old plantation and chapel ruins, their stories shifting into folklore. Yet those who ventured too close reported dreams filled with shadowy corridors, whispers calling their names, and the scent of jasmine that could not be traced. Celestine was no longer merely a woman, she was the embodiment of suppressed trauma, a haunting reminder of greed, obsession, and the human capacity for evil. In 1921, a seminary was built on part of the former plantation grounds. Students spoke of unexplained shadows in the library, lights flickering without cause, and a sensation of being watched while praying. Some faculty believed the chapel's chamber had cursed the grounds, imprinting Celestine's presence onto the land itself. One night in 1934, a young student awoke to find a woman standing at the foot of his bed, her eyes luminous and unblinking. She whispered a single phrase in a language he did not recognize, "Remember me." The student later vanished, and no trace of him was ever found. The seminary's administrators dismissed it as hallucination, yet every student there knew the stories were true. Local newspapers in 1940 occasionally hinted at strange events tied to the old plantation. Articles described fleeting shadows, mysterious disappearances, and eerie voices in the night. Skeptics laughed, dismissing them as superstition. Yet eyewitness testimony persisted, consistent across decades, detailing phenomena that defied explanation. Anthropologists who attempted to study the region noted an unusual pattern. Families linked to the Delaine estate often exhibited psychological disturbances, dreams of being trapped, visions of shadowed corridors, and compulsions to repeat certain behaviors haunted them. Celestine's influence, it seemed, was woven into the collective consciousness. By 1950, stories of Celestine's presence had spread beyond Louisiana. Travelers reported glimpses along the bayou, voices carried by the wind, and sudden chills in empty rooms. Those who pursued the phenomenon were often met with madness, death, or disappearance. Her legend had become a warning, a symbol of desire twisted into danger, and power corrupted by obsession. Across decades, people claimed to smell jasmine in impossible places, deserted streets, abandoned orphanages, empty chapels. It became a signature of Celestine, an ephemeral reminder of her presence and the darkness she embodied. Even as Louisiana modernized, the old bayou and ruins of the Delaine estate remained cursed, according to local law. Children told stories, elders whispered warnings, and every historian who attempted to investigate faced subtle, inexplicable obstacles. Celestine had become eternal, woven into the land itself. The final word belongs to the unseen, the observer who exists between worlds. Celestine herself, she is the witness to centuries of human folly, a haunting figure whose story cannot be silenced. She embodies suppressed truths, hidden corruption, and trauma that transcends time. Her mystery persists, a warning etched into history that some stories are too dangerous to uncover, some desires too powerful to satisfy, and some women too luminous, too cursed, to be contained. That the wind carries her presence, the shadows remember, and if you wander too close to the forgotten places of Louisiana, you might, just for a moment, feel her watching.